Hello and welcome. Today we bring you back Dr. Sandeep Tripathi. He has been a phenomenal investigator in virus COVID-19 registry. Dr. Tripathi, welcome to our show once again.
Thank you, Rahul. It was a pleasure to be here.
Yes, Dr. Tripathi, our audience know you already, but those who are watching for the first time, do you mind giving your introduction, where you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm an associate professor of pediatrics at University of Illinois College of Medicine at Peoria, and I'm a pediatric intensivist. And prior to Peoria, I've been here in Peoria for about 7 years now, but prior to Peoria, I was at Mayo for 3 years. I've done my critical care training at multiple places at Cincinnati, Montefiore, Chicago, and I have been involved with the virus registry pretty much since its inception in March of 2020. So very grateful for Rahul and his team for giving us this opportunity to.
No, pleasure is all ours, Dr. Tripathi. And first of all, many congratulations for your another milestone paper today, which got released today in this major journal, JAMA Pediatrics. We can say it now because it's been released this morning. So tell us about it, this manuscript which you have published now. I believe that you studied use of the steroid and then as an outcome in pediatric patients, especially the patients who are not diagnosed as MISC. So huge congratulations to you and your whole team, especially SCCM Discovery Virus Group and investigators. But please tell us what this paper about. What are the results?
Yeah, no, thank you. So it's a great pleasure of mine to get this paper out, and I think I want to congratulate everybody in the virus team, SCCM, co-investigators who did a amazing job in working with me in this paper, analyzing the paper, and then finding out, fine-tuning the various aspects of the paper. So, but so we have published some papers on this before, and when the pandemic first started, most of our papers were describing the disease. What are the risk factors for severe disease? What particular population is more affected by the disease? So we had the risk factor for ICU admission, risk factor for critical illness. Is obesity impacted by risk factors? And so these are observational paper describing the disease paper. But then as we know more about the disease, the next thing we want to know is what works for the treatment of the disease. And that's sort of the key things which a clinician want to know. And COVID is fortunately rare in children. It is much more severe in older population. So adults were able to do a lot of large randomized multicentric trial, which is sort of the gold standard in finding out what works and what doesn't work. Because of relative rarity of the disease in pediatrics, doing randomized controlled trial, especially large-scale randomized controlled trial, is challenging, and we haven't been able to do it. So then what do you do to find out what works or doesn't work is you look at the existing data, which is the observational study, and try to come up with some inference, which works and doesn't work. So that's the essence of this paper. It's sort of a leap from describing the disease to finding out what works for the disease from an observational data. And in this particular paper, so COVID-19 in children is two diseases, basically. One is MISC and the other is non-MISC COVID-19, which is more typical adult presentation of COVID-19, respiratory illnesses primarily. So we know MISC because MISC is very severe in children. What works in MISC, and we have published a paper about it earlier in pharmacotherapy. In this paper, we excluded the MISC patients and just concentrated on non-MISC presentation. So these are all non-MISC patients. And one of the drugs that is very commonly used for adults is steroids for hospitalized patient COVID-19. So we wanted to see if it works or does not work. So that's this paper. We looked at the patient who were in the virus registry and identified those who got steroids within first 2 days of admission and those who did not. And then they compared those two groups and looked at their outcome. to see if it works or doesn't work. That's a long answer for your.
No, that's fantastic. It's very, very informative. So I believe those who are watching, especially, are the students who are getting into residency, as well as who are a junior faculty member. I can tell you that how you can take these out data from a live data set. So what were your results, and were you surprised with the results, or anything unique came out from it?
So, so we had 1,163 patients as a paper right here. I want to make sure I quote the right numbers. 1,163 patients. Out of them, 184 were treated with steroids, and then 979, 84.2% were not treated with steroids. So, and then we use, so the question in pediatric studies is always, what are you going to use for outcome? The outcome of interest is cure of the disease or disease resolution. And how do we measure the disease resolution? One of the things you can do is measure when the fever stopped, or when the inflammatory mediators were normalized, or more traditional is what you use in adults, mortality. But mortality is generally very less in pediatrics, fortunately. So then we use a surrogate marker of outcome, which we chose in this paper as hospital length of stay. Now, why did we choose hospital length of stay? Why not fever effervescence or inflammatory marker? Because we want to make an outcome which is measurable and reliable. The ideal is fever effervescence, but there is a very difficult to get this kind of data with that degree of granularity. So there's going to be a lot of missing data. And same as with inflammatory mediators. You come in with inflammation, and then the inflammation subsided, but most of the patients whose inflammation subsided, clinicians don't even check their CRP. So you would have a lot of errors that way. But we use the hospital length of stay. Even though it has a lot of limitations, it does allow you to have some degree of accuracy in measurement, because the chances of errors are much less in hospital length of stay. So that's what we choose as a measure of efficacy of steroids. And retrospective studies such as this are we only can say it is associated or not. So in this study, we did not find an association of steroids, of the use of steroids with hospital length of stay. So with the data that we have and the analysis that we did, within its limitation, the study cannot show that early use of steroids is associated with a shorter length of stay for children admitted to the hospital in the participating institutions and entered into the virus registry who were treated with steroids.
Yep, I think that that is pretty comprehensive result as well. No, this is very important to know, because the results can tell us one way or other, and at least let us know that we don't have to have a mad race towards certain medication discussions. You are not new to, you're co-leading the pediatric group in virus COVID-19 registry with the SCCM discovery group. And so again, we have asked this question before. What has been your experience, or any tidbits for people who are watching us today? In terms of being part of such a large endeavor, given that you guys were very, very busy clinically, but still you guys stepped up. So any thoughts or comments?
No, I think it has been a great learning experience for me. In fact, if you look at the paper that we published earlier towards this paper, I have learned a lot on how to analyze the data and how to interpret the analysis. And more importantly, what are the limitations of such an analysis? And I think that's my message to junior folks is learning statistics and learning how to analyze data. There is only one way to learn it, and it's to do it. And virus registry is very, it has such a large diverse group of people involved in it who are very enthusiastic and ready to help and support wherever you have questions. So I think that's my message to junior faculty or students or residents. Get involved in and step up and find questions. Machines can give answers. It's humans which can ask questions. Need to
No,
be
very right.
questions.
Rightly said, rightly said. And those who are not aware, virus registry is open again for ancillary study proposals. Right down in comment section, we can send you the link. It's open for participating sites, but very soon it should be open for non-participating site with appropriate approvals and places you have to submit your idea as a proposal, and then data could be released to you as de-identified data in that manner. Dr. Tripathi, before we let you go, we started asking this question. Share a fun fact about you or interesting fact about you, which otherwise will not be very obvious for those who know that you're in clinical field. Anything you want to share which you're comfortable sharing with our audience?
So I'm an amateur statistician. I don't know if that's a fun fact or not.
It is.
As I've started doing this analysis, I started have developed a lot of interest in data and seeing pattern with data. And then once you start seeing pattern in data, you also starting to observe your limitations or humans' ability to find patterns where no pattern actually exists. So that's where my interest currently lies. That is in statistical analysis and learning all the more advanced tools in statistics, mostly to make sure that the papers that we write or papers I mentor are making the interpretation which is sound and not making obvious mistakes, which is so easy to do. One thing I learned recently is clinical research, even if it can be done alone, should never be done alone, because it is so easy to make mistakes. It is so easy to miss errors if you are the only one looking at it. So always involve people, always work with people. It is always supposed to be collaborative research work. Yeah, I'm also a lifelong student. I'm currently working on learning some more statistics from Indian Statistical Institute. So
Wow, that's such a prestigious institute. So congratulations. Thank you sharing for this fun fact and educational fact with others. Dr. Tripathi, this is a very inspirational anytime we come and talk to you. You have achieved a lot even before COVID-19 and then during COVID-19. And now we are talking about like maybe one of the second largest database in the country with more than 2,500 patients, pediatric patients. Things have slowed down, thankfully, that not very many people are getting as sick. But we are very, very thankful. Congratulations once again for your latest publication today in JAMA Pediatrics. And we hope to have many more success and hope to bring you back for further sessions for interviewing you.
Thank you, Rahul. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. And those who are watching this channel, please like and subscribe, share in thoughts. I already picked up a couple of quotes from Dr. Tripathi that's going to show up on social media when we release this video. So please stay tuned and then like and subscribe and let us know what you liked about this video. Take care.
Thank you.